Hey guys, it's Shira. Last week's Baby Only Nuzlocke was fun, but quite challenging and took a really long time to make. This week, I want to relax a little bit. So this video is my attempt at a Pokémon Platinum speedrun with Dialga. Let's answer, how fast can Dialga beat the game? And no, the answer isn't he stops time so it takes no time at all. Anyway, if you wanted to reference Dialga's time control, he could do the run in negative time, whatever that would mean. Don't think too hard about it or your brain will hurt. Anyway, Dialga is one of my all-time favourite legendaries. It is an absolute beast. As per all legendaries, it has insane stats and I'm sure will not struggle much beating the game. I do have a goal though. Thanks to one of my biggest inspirations, Zwiggo. On his channel, he's already done this exact run. It's a really good video, and if you haven't seen it, I seriously recommend watching it after mine. In his video, he invited all challengers. With the experience I've gone at playing through Platinum, I feel like I'm ready to smash his time of 5 hours and 48 minutes. Before we start, I'll briefly explain the rules. The most important thing to note is that we are measuring in-game time, not using an external timer. Why? Well, the answer to that is because that's what Zwiggo did. In fact, that is the answer to a few questions you might have as we proceed through this run. For instance, names and nicknames not being one letter long. This is of course to make mine and his run as comparable as possible, to make my time as comparable to his time. Going back to the original point though, we're using the in-game timer, which is a huge deal. As we're not using an external timer, this run can be done over multiple days, and you can reset on any and every mistake you make. A reset isn't just going back to the start of the game either, it's just going back to the last save point. Therefore, this run heavily encourages save scumming, but if you cared about seeing a hard challenge, you probably wouldn't be watching a Dialga solo run. It does have one huge benefit though. As long as you can use the universal Pokemon randomizer, this run is incredibly easy to play along with. So I also encourage anyone watching this run to try it for themselves, and see if they can get a better time than me. Other than that, the only rules for this run are, no items of any kind in battle, no Pokemon other than Dialga in battle. That second rule being a little bit obvious. With all that said, do you think I can do it? Can I beat Zwiggo's time of 5:58? We start the run. I name Dialga, the rival, and myself after the most obvious reference that comes to mind. I mean, Dialga messes with time, how could I not call it this? I immediately noticed just how insanely strong Dialga is. So much so there's little point doing the play-by-play of the early battles, as Dialga is just that strong, all you have to do is spam Dragon Breaths and you win everything. So instead of covering the early bosses, I'll try and show things that I think affect the overall time of the run. The first, and maybe most important little detail, is our Dialga's nature. After doing a few resets to get a positive nature, I end up with Timid. This increases Dialga's speed at the cost of physical attack. While a very good nature for competitive battling, I don't think it's the best nature we can get for this speedrun. It's not that bonus speed is bad, it's just that Dialga is already pretty fast and will outspeed most Pokemon already. The extra 10% doesn't change that many key matchups in the run. However, the lost attack does come up for a few fights, which might have led to a slower run. I think that a bonus special attack nature would also be better, because there are quite a few times Pokemon survived on slivers. Extra power would have meant a KO in those situations, which is one less turn we have to play, therefore the run gets that bit quicker. That's enough on natures though, as there are a few other things that cost me time early on. On the way to Warburg, I end up getting 9 wild encounters. To get the perfect time, I could save before each patch of grass to dodge the encounters, but running away from them is still quite quick, and it makes this run way more accessible. You guys watching this could quite easily attempt this run for yourselves. Aside from the wild encounters, I also missed my first Pokeball trying to catch a HM Slave Starly. With those time losses out of the way, I saved just before Rock at 26 minutes in game time. This is a pretty quick time. This is the fastest I've ever gotten to Rock in any of my solo runs. That's mostly due to dodging the trainers before Rock though. As you can see when I start the battle, Dialga is only level 7. Rock's ace is level 14, but like I said, early Dialga is just an insane Pokemon. Despite being nearly half the level, Dialga is able to blow away Rock's entire team with Dragon Breaths. While I might have dropped to 1 HP against his Cranidos, there was never a real worry for Dialga. As soon as Rock's beaten, you're able to buy repels. And I don't. Which means I end up getting another 3 wild encounters I could have avoided entirely. After getting to Jubilife again, I do buy my repels, but before I can use them, I realise I need a Bidoof for HMs. So I have to spend a good few minutes just trying to find and catch a Bidoof. This single catch takes me around 5 minutes, which is a huge time waste for the run. Especially when you consider I could have easily gotten one of the ones I found in the wild earlier. I definitely should have caught one before Rock, and I think this is one of the biggest mistakes of the entire run. So if you want to beat my time, play along and just make sure to get a Bidoof before Rock. Finally, I get the Bidoof, which means I don't have to worry about wild Pokemon for the rest of the run. The next part of the game I play pretty well, doing all the way up to Jupiter with minimum battles. I easily defeat the Fat Cat of Mars, Gardenia's Roserade, and Jupiter's Tanky Skunk. Apparently Dragon Breath spam is overpowered. That, or maybe it's the Dialga I'm using. This run is making me appreciate just how broken legendaries are. I'm heavily underleveled going into fights that are really tough when you're on level with normal Pokemon. However, Dialga just wins every fight. It's really nice to be able to do a run that plays itself for the most part, with no grinding required. Up next though is a little speed bump. Fantina. I reach her at 1 hour 21 minutes in game. For the most part, she isn't actually too bad, but she gets quite lucky with her crits and loves using Confuse Ray or Hypnosis. The first attempt against her goes kinda well, until she gets a crit Shadow Ball with Miss Magius. This and a Super Potion gives Fantina enough of an advantage to beat out Dialga. To win this battle, we're gonna need a little bit of luck with either an Ancient Power Boost or a critical hit. After 10 minutes of attempts, I finally get a lucky run where a crit Dragon Breath gets us past Miss Magius. With Miss Magius down, we're able to just get past Fantina. This is another way this run is really accessible. Even the toughest of fights can be overcome with a few retries and a lucky Ancient Power Boost or crit. After Fantina, it's back to business as usual. Dialga easily tears through Barry's entire team. Almost like Dialga is a legendary, and Barry doesn't even have fully evolved Pokemon yet. With that slightly one-sided battle over, a few more routes later, we get to Veilstone. This is where I think I make the biggest optimizations over Zwiggo's run. While watching his run, with the rules in mind, I had to wonder why he didn't spam the TMs you can buy in the department store. We're able to buy Fire Blast, Thunder, and Blizzard, all of which Dialga can learn. They all hit really hard and give Dialga some insane coverage. But don't those moves have really bad accuracy? Yeah, they do. And it doesn't matter at all. Remember, all this run cares about is in-game time. How many resets I have to do for these attacks to land doesn't matter. That does mean the run ends up having a lot more resets, but the fights themselves start going a lot quicker as hitting super effective 120 base power moves with Dialga's special attack one-shots almost any Pokemon. I think this is the biggest time save my run makes by picking up these moves. I head over to Maylene's gym, eager to try them out. She has a Lucario that can be an issue, but a Fire Blast should be able to take it out. Also, did you know this guy with a Heracross was a spinner? I didn't until I played this run, and dodging an extra battle is always good for a speedrun. Maylene is next. I reach her at 1 hour 45 minutes in game, and this is probably the hardest battle of the run. We have Fire Blast to answer Lucario, which would be good if we could ever get to Lucario. Her Meditite and Machchoke alone prove a match for Dialga. Either of them only need 2 hits and Dialga goes down, while we need 2 hits to take out either one of them. So that means we need an Ancient Power Boost to get past this battle. So I grind out attempt after attempt without much luck. I honestly wasn't expecting Dialga to take this many attempts for anything, but here we are. And while this might be an in-game time run, this could be the point where a Giratina or Palkia could overtake Dialga. Speaking of which, if you're enjoying the video up to this point, please suggest one of these two or another legendary for me to run through with. These runs are a really fun way to relax after a tough run, like last week's Nuzlocke, which if you haven't seen, I really recommend you check out. After many attempts, we finally get a winning battle. After being hit with a fake out from Meditite, I go for Ancient Power and get the boost. With the special attack up, we can one-shot Meditite with Dragon Breath. Fire Blast is then able to take out Machoke, then his Lucario. Yeah, this makes the fight look ridiculously easy, but that's the nature of using a Dialga. I know I also said this was a really tough battle for the run. All it needed though was one Ancient Power boost, which is a 10% chance to happen. Yeah, that managed to take me a whole hour of retries of just this battle to get. With Maylene taken down, we can move on to Wake, which means we're back on Easy Street. I teach Thunder to Dialga, then go straight into the battle. With Thunder, this fight is pretty easy. I can one-shot his two scary Pokemon. The only thing I can't take down in one shot is Quagsire. But come on, it's just a Quagsire. No way can it stand up to Dialga. Well, I stand corrected. I try again, this time remembering to full heal Dialga before the battle. Then, with a little bit of paralysis hacks on Quagsire, we're able to take Wake down. With Wake in our wake, we move on. Cyrus is next. He seems to want to learn more about Dialga, and so he looks at some paintings in a cave, instead of looking at the real live Dialga I have with me, that I used to sweep through his entire team. After the joke that was Cyrus won, I reach Rival 5 at 2 hours 26 minutes. He now has all his Pokemon fully evolved and a Heracross, so to deal with him, we need Ancient Power boosts. He leads with Staraptor getting Intimidate off, which doesn't matter as we only use special attacks. It is really nice being able to use a special attacker in Sinnoh, due to the amount of Intimidates going around in all the tough battles. I go for Ancient Power. Staraptor hangs on with just a sliver, but we get the Omni boost. I go for Ancient Power again, and miss. Barry responds with Takedown, which does 10 damage. Why does this Staraptor still have bad moves at this point? Well, I get off another Ancient Power and take Staraptor down. Unfortunately, I don't get the boosts again, so I don't know if this will be enough for the Infernape, which of course is next. I go for Thunder as it's my highest damage move here. It lands and he survives on just a sliver with paralysis. He lands a Brick Break that barely does anything to Dialga, so next turn we finish off Infernape with a Dragon Breath. Of Barry's remaining Pokemon, the last real threat is Heracross. I miss my first Fire Blast. He lands another Brick Break, taking me down to only 16 HP. Last turn, will we land the attack? We hit. With that, his Heracross of course goes down, and then we clean up his last two Pokemon with Thunder and then a Fire Blast. For sure, a really close fight. This is definitely one of the toughest rival fights in all of Pokemon, but nothing can stand up to Dialga well. Speaking of which, can Byron stop us? Actually, he can. First attempt, I go in, one-shot his first two Pokemon with Fire Blast. I then land Fire Blast on Bastiodon, and it does maybe 1/3. And I run out of PP. To save time, I've been skipping going to Pokemon Centers as often as I can, but that's now causing issues with my PP. So I have to go for Thunder here, which doesn't do enough damage. While Bastiodon can hit back with Metal Burst. Essentially a weaker counter, but it works for both special and physical moves. With Byron's full restore, we're not able to take down Bastiodon on our first attempt. That's okay though, we can learn a 4 times effective move that should easily get us through this fight. Focus, Rock, Smash. Yeah, the HM. While not a great move, it is 4 times damage, and it has a chance to lower defense, We only need it for Bastiodon though, and as soon as we leave the gym we can forget it with the move Deleter, who also is in this town. So it shouldn't be too big of a time loss. After one-shotting his first 2 Pokemon again, I face down Bastiodon. Then I spam Rock Smash. Slowly but surely we take down Bastiodon despite its healing. The defense drops from Rock Smash really came in clutch this battle. Byron is a quite tough gym leader, but he does serve another important purpose, giving us the TM for Flash Cannon. It's basically Steel type Shadow Ball, and with Dialga's insane stats is really strong neutrally. Not only that, but the next gym to face down is Candice, who uses Ice types, which are weak to Steel. Usually you don't have a strong Steel type attacker, then again usually you aren't doing a Dialga solo run. I reach Candice at 3 hours 4 minutes and completely shatter her team. Flash Cannon is a 100% accurate one-shot on all of her Pokemon except Abomasnow. So I one-shot her Sneasel, then her Piloswine. Abomasnow comes out, and we reduce Candice to global warming with a Fire Blast. Then Flash Cannon her Frostless. Candice was a complete pushover this run. The next fight that might be a challenge is probably Cyrus 3, so to get there we've got to go through the Veilstone HQ. As we're making our way through it, we find Cyrus giving a speech. But he just seems to be saying some nonsense about liking and subscribing. Hey, maybe you guys should do that if you want to see more Pokemon challenge runs in the future. Thanks, Cyrus! Despite Cyrus's help, I don't go easy on him for his second battle, which I reach at 3 hours and 18 minutes. His entire team goes down in 3 turns. Well, Cyrus 3 and the double battle beforehand are usually quite hard, and they're both up next. First, the double battle. I've taught Blizzard to Dialga here as it hits both opponents in double battles, but I had to replace Fire Blast. This means that for the first 2 Bronzor, I've only got Flash Cannon, and a single Thunder. So this actually takes quite a while. I Thunder the first Bronzor, do quite a bit of damage, and get a Paralysis. That should hopefully make it miss quite a few turns while I focus on the other one. Many Flash Cannons later, I take it down. I don't really understand why the other 3 Pokemon in this battle have basically just been spectators, but that suits me fine. With Bronzor down, Perugly comes out. I think I make a mistake here going for 2 Flash Cannons to KO Perugly instead of going for Blizzards at this point. However, despite my mistake, Perugly does us a favour. It takes out Barry's useless Munchlax with a critical hit. This forces him to use an actual good Pokemon, like his Heracross. On the next turn, Heracross tanks an Aerial Ace. Then Dialga finishes off Perugly and Heracross takes out Bronzor. So Mars and Jupiter send out Golbat and Skuntank. So I start going for Blizzards. Unfortunately, I miss Golbat with my Blizzard, but I freeze the Skuntank. With Skuntank unable to move, there's no real threat left in this battle. So a few more turns later, I take the W. Cyrus then uses an action replay code to summon a second Dialga. Wait a minute, is that the same type of stand as the world? Cyrus's hacks aside, the rival then heals us, giving Dialga full PP. With 10 Thunders, we should be okay to take on Cyrus 3. First attempt at 3 hours 51 minutes. He leads with a Houndoom. Fire is weak to Rock, so it's a good place to go for Ancient Powers here. If we get the boost, we'll almost certainly win the battle. First turn Ancient Power does more than half HP but no boosts. Houndoom hits back with a Flamethrower that does more than a third. That's a really strong hit for a non-legendary. Maybe I should use Houndoom in some kind of challenge in the future. Second turn in, we outspeed and take out Houndoom, but get no boosts. That sucks. It means we can maybe take another 2 hits from his 4 remaining Pokemon. Still, there's no point in resetting just yet as he sends out Gyarados. I go for Thunder, it lands, so it's 4 times effective and an easy one-shot. Weavile is third. It's quite frail and weak to the 100% accurate Flash Cannon, so this should be an easy one-shot. It does go first though, and does another 1/3 to Dialga with a fake out, then an ice punch. Dialga gets a turn, and it's an easy knockout with Flash Cannon. Honchkrow is Cyrus' penultimate Pokemon. Dialga outspeeds and lands a Thunder, so it's another one-shot. Finally, Crobat. It hits first with an Air Slash that does maybe 10 damage. Dialga returns fire with Thunder, and yet another one-shot. This Cyrus fight is usually super hard. I guess good electric type moves just make it way easier though. That or again, maybe it's the Dialga. With Cyrus defeated, I then make a few mistakes. First, Giratina. Instead of immediately running away, I decide to prove that Dialga is the better legendary, taking a few turns to KO Giratina. This is a complete waste that just cost me time for maybe an extra half a level. Completely not worth it, except to flex that Dialga is the better legendary. Then I leave the Distortion World and have a bit of thinking to do. I need a move to deal with Volkner and his gym. I have a think about getting Earthquake, but decide going through that cave will just take too long, so instead I head back to Orberg. I pick up a hidden Heart Scale, then use that to relearn Dragon Breath. Yeah, it's not the best move, but it's decent neutral damage, and more importantly has loads of PP for Volkner and his entire gym. My other options are using Flash Cannon, which isn't effective against electric types, or relying on Fire Blast and Blizzard spam, but that would either cost too much money or mean I have to go to the Pokemon Center too many times. I reach Volkner at 4 hours 12 minutes, and it's a pretty tough challenge. Dialga has used most of its PP just getting to Volkner, so I only really have PP left in the Flash Cannon, which again isn't effective. Even my first attempt, which immediately gets Ancient Power boosts, isn't enough as I don't have enough PP left. I can't go back to the Pokemon Center, as that would be too much of a time loss, so I've got one option left. Grind attempts and either get multiple Ancient Power boosts or multiple crits. This is gonna take a little while. Many attempts later, I get the luck I need. I get 2 Ancient Powers off against Jolteon, then get the boosts. Another Flash Cannon finishes off Jolteon. Raichu is next, but we get a crit on Dragon Breath, so we get to save a PP. Electrovire comes out next. With our boosts, we can do half HP with a Flash Cannon and easily take hits. Next turn I take it down with my final Dragon Breath. Last but not least, it's Luxray. I land Ancient Power, which does over half damage to Luxray, and I get the boosts again. With my current HP and defense boosts, Volkner just can't hurt Dialga. One more Ancient Power, and I win the battle. That one was a lot tougher than I thought it would be. Maybe if I could get Earthquake, it would be a lot easier, or if I could have just got to level 60 for Earth Power. But that would probably take more time than it'd be worth for this run. Still, there is definitely a way more efficient way to deal with this gym. Well, all that's left this run is the last rival fight, the Elite Four, and Cynthia. I pick up the TM for Dragon Pulse on my way through Victory Road, as it's a small detour that costs me maybe a few seconds. I will be replacing Dragon Breath with Pulse, as in this gen it's a huge upgrade. Dragon Pulse has 90 base power, and with Stab it has 135. In neutral matchups, it will hit harder than Fire Blast or Thunder while having full accuracy. Its only downside is its low PP at only 10 attacks, which is going to be an issue for the whole Pokemon League, which I enter at 4 hours and 34 minutes. As I've now gotten to the league, I'm able to fly back to it, so it's time for a little bit of shopping. I go and buy some more Thunder and Fire Blast TMs, as I can relearn them between Elite Four members to get extra PP. After the shopping is done, I go back to the league, box my HM slaves, and save the game. At 4 hours 37 minutes, it's time to start the last 6 trainers. First up, it's Barry. And this time he's back with a vengeance. Just look how much better his moves are for this fight. He has loads of strong super effective moves. To win this, I need to rely on Ancient Power boosts again, as without them I can't take that many hits, or one-shot any of his threats. I also need the boosts early on. If I don't get them on Staraptor, I may as well reset as I'll take too much damage. After quite a few attempts, I finally get some good luck. My second ancient power of the fight gets the boost as it takes down Staraptor. With the boosts and Dragon Pulse's insane base power, I'm able to one-shot most of Barry's threats. Only his Snorlax is able to take a hit, and while his Earthquake brings Dialga down to just 1/3 HP, none of his other Pokemon are able to even get a hit in. So Barry is down. Due to level difference, he wasn't that bad, but as I go on, the league will catch up with Dialga's level. Next trainer up, it's Aron. To deal with him, I relearn Fire Blast and go straight in. And with Fire Blast, the fight is a complete joke. His only Pokemon that isn't one-shot is Drapion, but it only manages to do 10 damage with an Ice Fang. Honestly, the worst part of this fight is that I had to use 2 ancient powers, as they're 4 times effective against his bug flying types. Which means I only have 3 going forward for the next 4 trainers. I just hope they're all as strong as Aron. Next up, it's Bertha. She has a super effective type for Dialga, but all her Pokemon are slow and have quite poor special defense. So I learn Blizzard over Fire Blast and go in. She leads Whiscash, so I go for Dragon Pulse. It deals 2/3 damage, and she hits back with Earth Power. It does 2/3 back to Dialga. That honestly hurt way more than I expected, but with Whiscash down, nothing on her team resists Blizzard and Flash Cannon, so a few turns later I take no further damage and can move on to Flint, who is a completely different story than the first 2, and the first real resistance the league puts up. He has a lot of fast Pokemon that have hard-hitting fire moves, with an Infernape that has Earthquake and Mach Punch. Again though, this fight is solved with ancient power boosts. With one boost, I outspeed his Pokemon and can one-shot them. So I have many attempts just trying to get the boost on the Houndoom. I need to get the boost on the first turn I use ancient power, to save PP for later on in the league. Lots of resets later, I eventually get the luck I need. I lead with a Flash Cannon. This is to do enough damage with the following ancient power that it should KO without Flint healing. He hits me with Flamethrower doing 1/4 damage. Next turn, I land the ancient power, get the boost, and KO the Houndoom. With the boosts up, I'm able to one-shot the Infernape with Dragon Pulse. After Infernape comes Flareon. It manages to tank a Dragon Pulse, and then lands a burn with Will-O-Wisp. This is gonna suck. He will heal this turn, and if I can't one-hit all his remaining Pokemon, burn damage is really gonna ramp up. Plus this is gonna eat up a lot of Dragon Pulse PP. Next turn he does heal, as I put him back to red HP. Then Flareon lands a quick attack before going down. This gets me a level up, which causes a bit of a conundrum. Do I want Earth Power? It guarantees this battle, easily one-shotting with the boosts, but it doesn't help too much for Lucian or Cynthia. Unfortunately for the run, I take a little bit too long trying to make a decision here, spending 2 to 3 minutes just weighing up the positives and negatives. Eventually though, I do learn the Earth Power, and with it I'm able to easily take down Flint's last 2 Pokemon. With Flint down, it's time for Lucian, and for this battle I have Dialga learn Shadow Claw, which we get way back at Heart Home. It does use Dialga's less good physical stat, but the super effective damage, and even more importantly saving the PP, are good enough reasons to use it. First attempt, I just spam Shadow Claws to see where we stand, and only get to Bronzong before being taken out by Earthquakes. So Shadow Claw is definitely good for this, I just need Fire Blast to deal with the Bronzong. Next attempt, I get too many misses with Fire Blast. Third attempt though, I managed to get all the way through to his Alakazam, that lands a Focus Blast which takes out Dialga. Am I gonna need boost for this? I was really hoping to save the last 2 ancient powers for Cynthia. A lot of attempts die in similar ways, but after enough persistence, I finally get another attempt to his Alakazam, where Focus Miss is finally true to its name. I land the Shadow Claw, and it just barely survives. Oh no. Lucian is gonna go for the potion, and I'll have to dodge another Focus Blast. Still, he heals up, I land another Shadow Claw, and this time it does more damage and KOs Alakazam. Huh. Okay then. Finally, he sends out Espeon, but I outspeed it and take it out with another Shadow Claw. With Lucian down, it's just Cynthia left. I save at 4 hours 56 minutes. At this point, it's pretty clear I'm gonna beat Zwiggo's time, but I want to see sub 5 hours on my first legendary speedrun. So can we beat Cynthia in less than 4 minutes? Leave your predictions below in the comments. First attempt, I go in, land an Ancient Power and Spiritomb. I don't get the boosts, and thanks to pressure, I use 2 PP for 1 attack, so I don't have another chance for the boosts. Why did I worry so hard about saving PP then? No matter, I take Spiritomb down in a few turns with Flash Cannon, while it does not very much to Dialga. Then Garchomp comes out, outspeeds and lands Earthquake, which takes us out. Okay then, we're gonna need some different moves, and we need those Ancient Power boosts. Many attempts later, I finally settle on just knowing Thunder, Fire Blast and Blizzard. Between the three, I can hit all of Cynthia's team super effectively. I just need to grind attempts until I get an Ancient Power boost. And for some reason, this takes a few hours. I'm not kidding. It's only a 10% chance, so it doesn't happen that often. And when it does, I get unlucky enough and miss with my other attacks that Dialga is KO'd. This honestly leads me to believe that resetting somehow leads to similar RNG every attempt, but I digress. Many failed attempts, and a whole other day later, I retry. This time, I do get the Ancient Power boosts, and then I don't miss any of my attacks. So Spiritomb goes down to Fire Blast, Garchomp can't take a Blizzard, Lucario can't handle a Fire Blast, Togekiss and Milotic are both one-shot by Thunder, and finally, Roserade also can't take the heat of a Fire Blast. With that, I've done it. All that's left is to register Dialga and see the time I got. There was never a doubt in my mind that Dialga could do this. However, there were definitely fights that surprised me. I wasn't expecting Flint, the last 2 rival fights, or Fantina to be all that hard. But each of these took many retries and were only possible with Ancient Power boosts. On the other hand, I was really expecting Cyrus 3, Buffer, and the Galactic Double Battle to cause huge issues. They've always been really tough in some of my previous runs, especially Cyrus 3, who has caused previous runs to just go away and have to grind more. Again, this run was done measuring the in-game time, which lets me do a lot of save scumming to optimize different sections. But playing the game through in this way has taught me a lot of things that I will be using in the future to optimize my other solo runs. Seriously, I had no idea there were so many spinners you can dodge in Platinum. With that all said though, this was a fun run to do. A little bit different than your typical solo run. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment on the next Pokemon you want to see do a run like this. I can definitely expand this past legendaries too. I think that the pseudos like Garchomp and Tyranitar could definitely get time similar to Dialga. Speaking of which, I got bang on 5 hours in game time. Just missing my goal of sub 5 hours, but comfortably beating out Zwiggo's time of 5 hours 48 minutes. For those of you wondering, that would make it the 8th fastest speedrun if I could submit this for the emulator category. Of course it's an unfair comparison because I used Dialga, but I'm pretty sure they used items so it sort of evens out. Anyway, getting back to my previous point. If Zwiggo or any other YouTuber sees this, I challenge you to beat this time. Let's see if we can optimize itemless Dialga even further. I honestly think a 4 hour and 30 minute in-game time is more than possible. With all that said, it's time to end the video. Thank you all so much for watching. Next week I will be attempting to do a hardcore Nuzlocke in a game that isn't Platinum. So if that sounds interesting to you, or you like this video, please consider subscribing to see more content like this. Is that everything? Oh, one last thing. If you would like to support me further, please go in the description and join my Discord. Everyone that does can talk directly with me and have a way bigger input on my future content. With that, that makes everything I wanted to say, so I hope everyone has a great rest of their day.